Hey there!
How's it poppin'? It's time to go Arc 11 with a guide on the best thermal attribute Skell weapons in Xenoblade X and where to farm them. For farming, make sure to have 100% cumulative treasure sensor detailed on screen, and at least an Ares 90 if not something stronger to OHKO with. For some of the weapons on this list, you'll need to break appendages. For that, have a basic farming Skell, which I covered in the video linked in the card at the top right. I previously covered beam and super weapons, so I won't be including the thermal super weapons here today. Any other weapons not included on this list aren't necessarily bad, they just aren't as good as the options that made the list. For each of these weapons, I'll be detailing their hit scaling. This is hidden in-game, but Skell weapons use the same damage formula as ground arts. On a per hit basis, the attack stat is multiplied by hit scaling, weapon attack is added flat to that hit, then any damage boost applied to that total. We'll begin the list with the strongest thermal weapon, a deceptively not-so-humble sidearm that can rain as much destruction as a super weapon can. Diskbombs.
We should weaken them just to be safe.
Diskbombs work differently from most other sidearms, firing a volley of 3 missile discs at 100% scaling each for a total of 300% scaling. But they have a neat quirk with the trait Custom Weapon Missile Mag. Instead of adding 1 missile per trait level, it actually adds 1 volley of 3 missiles per level. The scaling always stays as 300% total split across the entire set of volleys, but since you're getting off such a sheer number of shots at once, every single one of them is getting weapon attack added to it, then getting all damage boost additives. So every single auto attack volley is sending a swarm of death that also gives you a ton of GP. Ideally, you want 2 Diskbombs, both with missile mag traits and equipped with custom weapon attack or custom weapon speed that you can quickly swap between. Preferably speed unless you're trying to OHKO. For farming Diskbombs, there are 2 options. The first is at the southern cave mouth inside Cavernous Abyss. Once you stand here for a bit, 3 Milsati will appear. Use Heroic Tail on them for a chance at getting the highest tier variant of XXR 260 Diskbombs. The important trait you're looking for is of course custom weapon missile mag. Don't settle for anything without this.
Now take the fight out of them!
A faster method that is more likely to give you the weaker XXR 250 variant, with 1 level lower mag trait and less weapon attack, but is way easier to farm and still has a small chance at the 260, is a group of Milsati midway up Mount Magondo. 2 of this group only appear after you've stood there for roughly 10 seconds, similar to the first method, then clear them all out at once with a Phoenix, which is our next weapon to cover. If you want an area of effect art, the king of AoE is the Phoenix Wings. Your Skell does a Gynax pose and turns everything in sight into a giant fireball. This is a double backslot with a scaling of 500% on 3 hits. It inflicts taunt, but you're not going to care about that, because realistically you only want to use this for farming groups of enemies, so you actually don't need to bother farming to get the highest tier version of it. The shop variant is perfectly sufficient for what you really need it for. But if you do want the strongest variant, you can farm the XXR 460 from Polaris the Firmamental atop Ganahan Villa at nighttime. Some other very good weapons are dropped by Polaris, so you may just get a Phoenix while farming for something else here anyway. If you just want some quick stat sticks on your backslots instead of running a super weapon or a Phoenix, take either the Flame Grenade or Sakuraba S missiles. The grenade has a meager 100% single hit, but it's simple, low cooldown, and fast animation to fish for cockpit time with a trait pool that's got almost no bad options. It's in the same weapon pool as Diskbombs, so refer back to earlier in the video for farming these. The S missile is about the same with 200% total scaling, but less total weapon attack. These are from the same source as the M missiles covered in the guide to prepping a farming Skell, so if you already did that or Diskbombs, you probably have one of these already. For shoulder weapons, there's quite a few good options, but only one real standout. These will be supplementary to Diskbombs or a super weapon as your primary form of damage on a thermal build. Option 1 is Sakuraba M missiles. These are the lowest cooldown option with 50% scaling on 6 hits for 300% total, and a 30% chance per hit to inflict Blaze level 1. They target all appendages simultaneously, which isn't too relevant outside of dedicated appendage farming, but it makes for a cool missile spread. Again, covered how to obtain these in the Building a Farming Skell guide at Ganglion Entropolis. But if you don't have these already from that, these next 2 weapons are much quicker to farm. Maximal Missile. Not to be confused with the appendage targeting M missiles from Meredith and Sakuraba, which use the Art's Stinger missile. This one has 100% scaling but on 3 hits for the same 300% total, but this one inflicts Blaze level 3, so it'll deal more damage over time. Cooked up by the Orphe for Ganglion mechs, it can be obtained from cedars that are equipped with them. The strongest variant of XR762 comes from Badul's Cedar atop Cavernous Abyss. There's a lot of stuff to farm from this place. Break the shoulder weapon appendages for 2 guaranteed drops per spawn. Another Orphe creation, the G-Revolver. They call it G-Revolver, while the human Skell art is instead called Underhander. 100% scaling on 5 hits, and it inflicts Virus, which disables all ranged arts on the target. This can be pretty useful if you equip a time extend augment to make the total debuff length equal to the cooldown of the weapon. The longer cooldown does mean this won't be doing as much damage or cockpit fishing overall as the other choices, but it's still good for its support. Break the appendages of the Armed Destroyer Galder at the ruined city of Orsim for guaranteed drops. Gangland weapon drops don't follow the usual level rules, so this will always be the 460 variant despite being from only a level 45 enemy. And an honorable mention to the Huge Missile. It's not actually that good, it just has the funny art name of Really Effing Big Missile. For melee builds, there are 2 options that you can use to go with the Detonation Flail superweapon. The first is the Heathorn, or Thermal Bomber. When you don't have a bigger gun, just turn yourself into a fireball and tackle the enemy. A single 200% hit with hefty weapon attack that inflicts stagger, as well as launching small to large size targets. The highest tier variant XXM 160 Heathorns are dropped by Polaris the Firmamental again, so refer back to the timestamp on screen. The other is the Astriid Flame, HOMURA. No relation to Pyra for the weeb purists. Right shoulder only with a single 500% hit plus massive weapon attack. Inflicts thermal resistance down by 30% on the target, and gets a 200% damage boost against blaze targets, meaning that it pairs especially well with lots of the other weapons on this list. On top of that, it launches small to large targets and flinches extra large. This comes as a reward from the time attack Rothian Samurai. I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed, so you don't need to worry about how fast you can beat the time attack to run it repeatedly. As long as your ground build and party is sufficient to beat it once, which is easy to do even without a post-game setup. It comes with set traits, so once you get a single drop, you're done. And despite being exclusively level 30, it's equivalent in power to high-level weapons, with the only downside being its long cooldown. Running double Heathorns is an option if you want extra melee traits, but for a melee build, the HOMURA is very worth it and incredibly easy to obtain. And lastly, for spare weapons is the Cracker Bomb, or Thermal Impact Frag. 250% scaling on 1 hit, small area of effect, and it inflicts Blaze level 1. With its quick animation and low cooldown, you can use 2 of them for cockpit fishing and thermal damage stat sticks. These are the only thermal spare weapons, so they're the best by default. You can get the highest tier 360 from Coronid Tyrants. The most consistent is Zaire the Cerulean Walker on an island off the southwest coast of Silvalum. Just make sure to OHKO it from a distance because it has a really strong ether proximity spike. Was there any thermal weapons you think should have made the list? Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and tell me what you'd like a guide on next. You can find all the Xenoblade X guides I've already done in the playlist to your left, and you can also find the relevant farming scale build and previous best beam weapons list in the description. So, see you next time!